Look, I need you to think about something for a second. When was the last time you bought something, anything, and you felt genuinely good about it for more than like 48 hours? And I'm not talking about that split second when you clicked buy now or swiped your card. I'm talking about actual lasting satisfaction. Because here's what I realized. I spent $43 on DoorDash last Tuesday. $43 for food that I ate in 11 minutes while scrolling on my phone, barely even tasting it. And the crazy part? By Wednesday afternoon, I was already thinking about what I was going to order for dinner that night. It's like the purchase never even happened. And that's not an accident. My name is Dan, and I spend way too much time thinking about why we're all so incredibly bad with money despite having more financial information available to us than any generation in history. If you're someone who makes decent money but somehow still feels broke at the end of every month, or if you keep telling yourself you'll start saving next month, but next month never actually comes, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. So here's the thing that nobody really talks about. Companies aren't just selling you products anymore. They're literally training your brain to operate in a way that keeps you perpetually broke, and they're doing it so smoothly that you don't even notice it's happening. Now, I know what you're thinking. Dan, come on, that sounds like some conspiracy theory nonsense. But stick with me here, because once you see this, you can't unsee it. And more importantly, once you understand the game, you can actually stop playing it. Let me start with a statistic that should honestly terrify you. According to a 2023 study by Bankrate, 78% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. But here's where it gets really interesting. That number includes people making over $100,000 a year. We're talking about households pulling in six figures who have less than $500 in savings for emergencies. That's not a financial literacy problem. That's a systematic behavior modification problem. Let's talk about what I call the convenience tax, because this is where most people are bleeding money without even realizing it. You know how every app on your phone is trying to make everything easier for you. One-click ordering, saved payment information, auto-renewing subscriptions, free shipping with Prime, same-day delivery. Here's what most people don't realize. Convenience isn't being offered to you as a gift. It's being weaponized against your wallet. Let me show you the actual math on this. The average American has 4.5 subscription services, according to research from West Monroe. Now, people typically guess they spend about $80 a month on subscriptions. But when researchers actually looked at bank statements, the real number was $219 per month. That's a $139 gap between what people think they're spending and what they're actually spending. Do the math on that. $139 a month times 12 months. That's $1,068 per year that just evaporates from your account on stuff you either forgot about or dramatically underestimated, and that's just subscriptions. But here's where it gets even more insidious. These companies have figured out that the more friction they remove from the buying process, the more you spend. Amazon knows this better than anyone. There's a reason they patented one-click ordering back in 1999. They found that every additional step in the checkout process decreased conversion by about 4 to 10%. Think about what that means for your behavior. 20 years ago, if you wanted to buy something, you had to get in your car, drive to a store, walk around, find the product, wait in line, and hand over physical cash or sign a credit card slip. Each one of those steps gave your brain a chance to ask, do I really need this? Now, you see something on Instagram, tap twice, aim towers, one aim twice, and it's at your door tomorrow. Your brain doesn't even have time to engage the rational decision-making part. It's pure impulse. Now let's talk about something that's absolutely destroying people's wealth-building potential, the monthly payment mindset. Companies have successfully trained an entire generation to think about purchases in terms of monthly payments instead of total cost. And look, I get it. When someone tells you a car costs $50,000, that sounds scary. But $499 a month for 72 months? That feels manageable, right? Here's the problem with that math. $499 a month for 72 months is $35,928. Oh, but wait. That's at 6% interest, which is actually pretty good right now. The real total? You're paying $35,928 for a car that cost $32,000. You just gave the bank $3,128 for literally nothing. That's money that could have been invested, earning compound returns for decades. But it gets worse, because you're not just doing this with your car. You're doing it with your phone, 45-month, your furniture, 87-month on that Affirm payment, your Peloton, 44-month, your mattress, 73-month. Let me paint you a picture of what this looks like for a typical person. I'm going to use real numbers from a financial analysis I did on middle-income households. Car payment, $499 month phone payment, 45-month Apple subscriptions, 32-month streaming services, 67-month gym membership, 59-month meal kit service, 89-month furniture financing, 87-month credit card minimum payments, 240-month, that's 1,118 per month in payments for stuff that either depreciates or literally disappears. That's $13,460 per year, every single year. Now here's what most people don't realize. If you took that same $1,100 per month and invested it in a basic index fund, earning the market's historical average of about 10% annually, in 30 years you'd have $2.26 million. Not $2.26 million that you put in, $2.26 million total from compound growth. But instead, that money is going to banks, finance companies, and subscription services. You're literally trading millions of dollars in future wealth for convenience and the illusion of affordability. Here's where it gets really interesting, and this is the part that kind of makes me angry because of how deliberately it's designed. Companies have figured out that they're not really in the business of selling products anymore. They're in the business of selling dopamine hits, and they've gotten really, really good at it. Think about how apps are designed now. Every purchase gives you a little reward. Points, stars, badges, free shipping, exclusive access. You get a notification that your order shipped, another notification that it's out for delivery, another one with a picture of it at your doorstep. Each one of those is a tiny dopamine hit. And here's the thing about dopamine. It's not actually about the reward itself. It's about the anticipation of the reward. That's why you feel more excited ordering something than you do when it actually arrives. Scientists have known this for decades. Dopamine spikes during the pursuit, not the achievement. So what do companies do with this information? They've turned shopping into an infinite loop of anticipation and mild satisfaction, followed by immediate emptiness that makes you want to shop again. It's not even subtle. They literally have teams of neuroscientists and behavioral psychologists engineering these systems. Look at how Starbucks structures their rewards program. You get stars, you reach levels, you get free drinks, you get early access to new products. They've gamified caffeine addiction, and it works. The average Starbucks rewards member spends $212 per month. That's $2,544 per year on coffee. Now, am I saying you should never buy coffee? No. But you need to understand what's happening in your brain when you do, because that dopamine loop isn't making you happier. Research from Cornell University found that people who make frequent small purchases report lower overall life satisfaction than people who make occasional, larger, more intentional purchases. You're spending more money to feel worse. Let that sink in for a second. Here's something I see all the time that drives me absolutely crazy. People get a raise, and instead of improving their financial position, they immediately increase their spending to match their new income. This is called lifestyle creep, and it's probably the single biggest reason why people who make good money still feel broke. Here's how it typically plays out. You get a $10,000 raise. That's an extra $620 per month after taxes, give or take. You think, great, I can finally afford to move to a nicer apartment. So you upgrade from $2,400 a month to $2,000 a month. But wait, now you're spending an extra $600 per month on rent alone. Your entire raise just evaporated, and you actually have less breathing room than before because you probably also upgraded your car, your wardrobe, your restaurants because you live in a nicer area now, and you need to fit in. Companies are counting on this. They're literally banking on the fact that as soon as you make more money, you'll immediately find new ways to spend it, and they make it so easy. Targeted ads based on your income. You deserve it. Marketing. Financing options that make everything seem affordable. Here's what's really messed up. According to data from the Federal Reserve, the average American's spending increases almost proportionally with their income. Someone making $50,000 a year saves roughly the same percentage as someone making $150,000 a year, which is to say, almost nothing. Now you might be thinking, okay Dan, but I need to spend money on some of this stuff. I can't just live like a hermit. And look, you're right. But here's what's actually happening. You're not spending money because you need things. You're spending money because social media has created this constant comparison game that you can't win. You see your friends' vacation photos, so you book a trip you can't afford. You see someone's new car, so suddenly your perfectly functional car feels inadequate. You see someone's kitchen renovation, and now you're on Home Depot's website at 11 p.m. adding subway tile to your cart. A study from the University of Pennsylvania found that people who spend more than 30 minutes a day on social media are 56% more likely to report financial stress, even when controlling for income level. It's not that they make less money, they just spend more of it trying to keep up with a curated highlight reel that isn't even real. Here's the shift you need to make. Stop measuring your financial success by what you can afford to buy and start measuring it by what you can afford not to buy. Real wealth isn't about having more stuff. It's about having more options, more security, more freedom. All right, so here's what you actually do about all this. Because understanding the problem is one thing, but you need a real action plan. First, you need to create what I call purchase friction. Remember how I said companies profit by removing friction from buying? You need to put it back in. Here's what that looks like practically. Delete your saved payment information from websites. Remove shopping apps from your phone. Implement a 72-hour rule for any non-essential purchase over $50. Unsubscribe from promotional emails. All of them. Second, you need to automate your savings before you see the money. Here's the specific system I recommend. The day your paycheck hits, have a percentage automatically transferred to a high-yield savings account at a completely different bank. Not tomorrow. Not when you see what you have left. Immediately. Start with 10% if you can. If that feels impossible, start with 5%. If that feels impossible, start with literally anything. The amount matters less than building the habit and getting that money out of your checking account before your brain can categorize it as available to spend. Third, and this is crucial, you need to understand your actual spending, not what you think you spend, what you actually spend. Here's what I want you to do. Go through the last 3 months of bank and credit card statements. Every single transaction. Categorize them. Add them up. I guarantee you'll find at least $200, $300 per month that you're spending on stuff you either didn't remember buying or wouldn't have purchased if you'd been paying attention. But here's the thing. All the tactics in the world don't matter if you don't fix the underlying mindset problem. You need to stop thinking of yourself as a consumer and start thinking of yourself as an investor. Every dollar you have is an employee that can work for you. When you spend it, you're firing that employee. When you invest it, you're putting it to work, earning more employees. That $43 I spent on DoorDash, those weren't 43 employees I consumed. Those were 43 employees I fired. If I had invested that money instead in 30 years at 10% annual returns, that $43 would have become $750. I didn't just spend $43 on food. I spent $750 on food. I just won't realize it for 3 decades. This is how wealthy people think about money. Every purchase is evaluated not just on what it costs today, but what it costs in future wealth. Look, I'm not telling you to never buy anything or never enjoy your money. That's not the point. The point is to be intentional about it. To understand that every time you pull out your wallet, you're making a choice between present consumption and future freedom. Companies have spent billions of dollars training you to make the choice that benefits them. They've made it easier to spend than to save. They've made it feel better to consume than to build wealth. They've turned your financial life into a series of frictionless transactions that slowly drain away your future. But now you see it, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. So here's what I want you to do. Pick one thing from this video and implement it this week. Just one. Delete your saved payment info. Set up that automatic transfer. Cancel one subscription you forgot you had. Start there. Because the truth is, you're not broke because you don't make enough money. You're broke because you've been systematically trained to stay broke. And the moment you understand that, you can start training yourself to build wealth instead. If this video helped you see your spending differently, hit that like button and subscribe because I make videos like this every week breaking down the psychology and math of money that nobody else wants to talk about. Drop a comment and let me know which tactic you're going to implement first. I'll see you in the next one.